So today, I have got someone who knows me better than most people in the world. Hopefully, she don't tell too much of my business. But she is one of my dearest friends, and we're talking about love and friendship with Chrystal Hurst. Welcome to the Jada Edwards Podcast. Okay, Chrystal Hurst. Now, this is how you know when your life is busy and crazy. When to have lunch with your friend, you need to set up a podcast appointment so they can come and do some work, and then we just hang out after. I'm so glad you're with me today.
Oh, I'm so glad to be here, girl. I was like, everybody was like, what are you doing? I was like, it's Jada's day.
It's whole
Jada's
day.
It's Jada's day.
I love it. I love it. Y'all, let me tell you something. So I have to say this every time. I've known Chrystal. I was like 11 or 12 somewhere around when I met Chrystal, and she
Don't
was.
make me sound too bad.
Huh?
Don't make me sound too bad.
Well, so there's been a slow shift in evolution that happened in those early years, but that's what happens because I was 2 or 3 years younger, and so 15 and 12 feels like a chasm. It's not the same as you get older. So when I was younger, she was the big sister that always was messing with me and Priscilla. And we were just always trying to mess with her too. And so the initial dynamic was, this is our big sister and we getting on her nerves all the time. All the time. Look, she would say, get out of my room.
They were just cackling.
We were, and we didn't want
Just
nothing. We'd be like,
cackling.
looking in, what are you doing? She'd
And,
be like,
and,
get out.
and sideways getting joy of me doing that.
We were.
Because
We were
if
just
I would
trying to
have a
annoy you.
reaction, y'all would be like,
It's typical little sister, big sister. Everybody's getting on everybody's nerves. It was great. And then I just remember when you went off to college, went off to A&M, and we started talking a little more like, I need to talk to you. I need to ask you something. Or laughing, like had fun, And then the amazing Karis came along, and I remember just being at that apartment with Karis. And then at some point, I was like, this is my friend. She's not my friend's big sister. She's my friend. And so it has been a joy. And now Chrystal is super brilliant. She has authored books. She is the original podcaster. She started her podcast in 1981. Y'all didn't even know that it was out there, but she's got podcasts. She's got Sister Circle. So find her in all the things. And now she got Sister Circle on the app. In the real app, not your little bootleg app. She's in the real Play Store and on the iTunes App Store. So not iTunes, the App Store or Google Play Store. Oh, anyway. Okay, so here's some things we want to talk about. Today we're going to talk about a little bit of what the complexity, I think, of love in our friendships. Mm-hmm. And so I have a book coming out in a few months called A New Way to Love Your Neighbor. Put those details at the end of the podcast. But one of the things I talk about in there is the challenge to stay curious about long relationships, especially what forgiveness looks like, the evolution of all of that. And so you came to mind because I clearly see places where our friendship got deeper. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I think it was intentional and sometimes I think it just happened. Mm-hmm. So when you think about not just our friendship, but friendship in general, how much of it do you think is intentional? Like, I want to go to a different place in this friendship. Mm-hmm. And how much of that do you think is just, this is just time. If we stay in the fight, some things will work themselves out.
Well, I think, the benefit of long friendships is you get the default of sometimes things work themselves out. Mm-hmm. But I also think long friendships, the longer you're friends, you realize the more you could have been intentional.
Ooh, that's good.
Because you can be intentional in a very short period of time with people you just met.
Yeah.
And if you compare that to people who have been in your life, who've been through the ups and the downs, who know the backstory, and you're like, why are they not getting this from me? It's
that familiarity,
right? Yeah. And things that you think you have ongoing access to can become common in an unhealthy way. And so I think it's been a challenge in our friendship multiple times for me to say, okay, I have masterminded it with people and gotten on a plane and gone to do something for a day and a half. Okay, well, you're an hour away, but it's the like, it's intentionality. It's like, okay, what is it that makes me say, I have this friend, she's been my friend, but I'm not driving the hour, and sometimes it just takes comparison to see that.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's like a parent. You have your parents. You should always be grateful for them. You should always be intentional with those relationships. But it's usually not until you get older that you go, I need to be intentional about
Mama,
like going to see my mom. Like,
Yeah,
and then you
where
put it
at?
on your
Right.
calendar.
Yeah.
But they've been in your life the whole time. So
Yeah, I think that's so true. I remember, you may or may not remember this, but one turning point moment for me, which is so random. Joa was a newborn, and you texted me one night at 2 a.m. and you were like, "What are you doing?"
because I knew you was up.
Yeah, and you were like, "How are you feeling? How's the first few weeks?" And I was like, "Oh, my friend." Like, it was, you just have
But I'm
random.
gonna tell on myself. But I didn't come out here.
That's true.
So-
but I don't think I felt.
You did.
Did I feel slighted?
You sure did.
Oh, did I tell you?
Well, it wasn't me personally.
Why
I
you
think
didn't come
friend
visit
group
me?
as a whole. There was a period where you were like,
Oh,
I'm out here.
yeah.
And I got friends that are in the Metroplex.
Yes,
And
I do
all
remember
these
that.
people that are, in my circle, but they haven't been on the long
Present.
tail with
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
Are here. But y'all are like my people. And that's
I
what I'm
do
talking
remember
about.
that.
It's not intentional commonality where you're intentionally just saying whatever. It's just, it's a level of commonness that doesn't lead you to prioritize those relationships that should be.
Right. I think that may have happened more with Chloe, though, than with Joa. I think that was the second one, because I do remember being at a baby shower for Chloe, and I had invited everybody, and several of my close friends were like, "Oh, we can't make it. Oh, we can't." And it was some conflicts, but
Yeah.
everybody was in town, and I was like, "But I told y'all about this weeks ago," and it's like, it's a baby, And so I do remember feeling a kind of way, and I really. It's funny you bring that up, because I kind of forgot, because I do think that happens too. When you love people and you're in long friendship with them, you
can hurt them.
You just,
And you don't
but
even
also
know.
you forget. Like, I don't,
Yeah.
when I see my friends and talk to them, I'm not like, "Remember that time you didn't come?" I don't even.
No, that's right. That's
because
right.
there's so much love and in the context of the relationship, but because you easily forgive and can move past stuff, it makes you less intentional.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's
because now
just
that I'm
this
thinking about it, like, that did hurt me.
Because we also can go for a year and not talk, see each other, quick hit DM,
Yeah.
and then sit down and catch
Yeah.
up on all the things.
Yeah.
And
be
so
like,
there's
"I'm
the
good."
grace that you can give long tail friendships.
Yeah.
Can also lead you to unintentional lack of intentionality.
Yes, where you're just like, "Oh, I wish
Because
I
I
could
may
be there,
miss
but
it.
she'll be all right."
Because I may miss it.
Yeah.
Right. I may miss the
Yeah.
thing that actually matters.
That's true. That's so good. I'm trying to even figure, because one of the things I have been processing as I've thought about this in context of friendship is when I feel hurt or when I feel disappointed, how much of it is intentional forgiveness and how much of it is just passive grace. Like, this is my person, I love them, it's fine. I know their heart. They didn't mean it to hit me that way, blah, blah, blah. Versus, you know what? I need to process how I feel about that, because if this is my friend and they did, you know what I'm saying? I think they're two different things, and one can probably lead you to a more intentional, a deeper friendship. One will sustain the friendship you have, like,
Right.
okay, it's fine. But then there's another one. I'm wondering now, in hindsight, 8 years later after that, had I had some conversations and said to people, I think I talked to 1 or 2 people in our group, but had I really talked to that 4 or 5 that I really felt disappointed by, would that have been even something that could have turned a corner? You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes I think being honest about the hurt.
You can't be honest about every little hurt.
No.
That's for sure.
No.
But I think
that was
it's
a
like
big,
marriage.
that's probably one I probably should have shared, now that I think
Well,
about it.
I think it's like marriage. You are married to this person for life. we don't necessarily go into our friendship saying, you know, you're my friend for life.
Yeah.
You realize later, oh, you're my friend for life. But I think you change. And we know in marriage at some point, sometimes you have to look at your spouse and say, like, you need to know this about me.
Right.
And you have the wherewithal because of your own maturity and living in your own skin to have the verbiage to communicate that.
Right.
Sometimes when you were talking about like assessing your hurt, some hurt I need to figure out that really is bugging me and I can't seem to let that go. So I need to do the work to figure out what it is.
Right.
Is it something in my life? Is it something in our friendship? Is it something with you? So I can communicate with you. If this is a long tail friendship, let me tell you what you need to know about me. And I don't know if I even knew that this hurt me or that I knew how to tell you how I needed to be loved and appreciated.
Yeah.
But in our friendship, I know you're here and I want to give you the tools to know what I need.
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't know that until we recognize, no, this one hits a little different.
Yeah. And you don't know why. And you know what else I remember feeling? I remember feeling, because again, your own self-awareness, your own self-knowledge, your own self-reflection is so important because a lot of times you end up just communicating verbal vomit and then the person is like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that.
Because if
I don't want you to just dump on me. I need you to articulate.
It's you. You know what I'm saying? Like if I don't know me
absolutely
enough to know,
then it's always somebody else's fault.
It's always you.
Jesus. It's not always somebody else's fault.
That's why we have to grow in our own self-awareness.
Yeah. Because I say that because I remember feeling at that time probably why I felt torn as to if I was going to make a big deal.
Because you knew everybody got stuff going on.
Well, no, it wasn't even that. It was about me. I was like, have I presented to my friends things that hurt me? I said, I think most of my friends are thinking, this is important, but it's not going to devastate it. It's Jada. Like, I don't think I presented at that time being a very sensitive person that valued people showing up for me. I don't think I presented that. I think I presented like, come if you coming. I'm be all right. It made me think that about myself. I was like, I wonder, because I think there's other friends where we would know, oh, don't miss this. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, I don't know because I never asked some of these questions, but it made me think.
Talking about therapy, real time.
Right. It made me think, what have I presented to my friends about myself where they don't understand how important, did I not even know how important it was?
Well, for me, it's that plus, am I getting what I'm giving? So some of it is like, what is the story that I'm telling people that they don't realize my need? I've obviously not let them see me.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, am I getting back what I have given? I ask myself that. I'm not saying you. I'm saying for me. I'm like, and you know me. I'm going to sit down, have a question. We're going to talk for 4 hours. We're going to cover it all. We're going to go deep. But have I been the kind of friend that shows up? So when I want my friends to show up, are they not showing up because I show no need, but also are they not showing up because I don't show up for them?
I don't show up. Girl, that's good.
That's what I have currently been asking myself. And literally because friendship is life and, I'm in my 50s and I'm like, okay, what do I want the legacy, the tone and the consistent thing to be said about the way I show up for my people? Husband, children, friends.
Yeah.
And am I consistently doing that? So that's the story. Because the story is only going to be written based on what I consistently do in every chapter. So in all of these chapters, am I, for the most part, telling the same story? Or is this story a story I'm creating in my head, but that I'm not actually writing out by my actions? Because I would like to say I show up for my friends. Yeah. But is that really what's happening?
They think? Right. Yeah, because I kept thinking, if this was me not coming to somebody's important thing, I would be like, girl, I love you, but I'm busy. So I was torn because I was like, am I going to make a big deal about this? Because I don't know if I would have responded this. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It is that same thing. So let me ask this question. We have a pretty, to me, I say large friend group because it
is large.
It's 8 or 9 of us in our group. And then we all have new friends and other people that's not even in that group, right? And so...
And then there are micro groups inside of the large group.
Yeah, there's groups. It's just like your family text. You got one with just the sisters, one with the mama and the sister. Listen, I know because I'm on a group text with my whole family, and then me and my sister be in a side text.
Got a side text.
Get your parents.
That's right.
You need a side text.
That's correct.
And then I got text with just my mama. Like, have you talked to your sister? Or then my dad will text me, be like, your mother said, like, it's only 4 people in our family.
All the
I got
dynamics.
19 text threads. Like, and then you got to look to see who's in this group.
Listen, because you can make the mistake.
Listen, I said something one time about dad. He was like, well, I didn't know. Oh, wrong text. Is you in the wrong thread?
Oh, yes. I've had to side text to say to a sibling, did you realize that you just texted that in the text with the other, like, and they were like, oh, praise the Lord for undue send. You know what I'm saying? But then you hope that it erases on their end. It's just complex.
It's complex.
It's complex.
It's complex. Yeah. So it's a million texts. So we have groups within the groups. And then we've got, when you have friends, you're like, I've got these friends that are my foodie friends. Let's try something new. These are my music friends. They're going to go to a new concert. These are my travel friends. These are my pick up and go friends. These I got. So, and everybody's life is layered. It's like a lot going on. So how do you decide when to be intentional? Like, am I saying, and I'm sure most people don't have 7 or 8 close friends. Like, if you got 1 or 2, you're doing great. So am I going through a calendar? Like, once a week, I need to talk to this person. Or am I saying, well, do I need to spend time with them? Or what's the rhythm? Like, it can feel overwhelming. So how do you decide, or as you're figuring it out, what it looks like to be intentional? Do you just say, listen, I know these 2 are my aces. I'm focusing on those 2. Everybody else might get some pieces along the way. Or am I trying to divide it evenly? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I think about this a lot.
Yes, I know. Because I'm sitting here going, what happened to there was a year where you talked to me about your concentric circles.
I did. Girl, you get on my nerves with your memory. Oh my gosh. Forget stuff, please.
No. But probably, I think I was marked by
everything.
that. And I think that, Jesus gave us great examples. He had the feeding of the 5,000. He had his 12. He had his 3. He had his 1, the disciple that Jesus loved. I think that two things. I do think you have to make intentional decisions for people that you love that are not in the natural rhythms of your life. We would not not have to have the discussions that we have about friendships if you and I lived next door to each other.
Oh, yeah.
So there is the reality of proximity and the availability that someone has in your life when they are a part of your life. Okay. That said, my sister is a part of my life, but I still have to be intentional because the way our paths cross is not necessarily the best for going deep. If I want to have a conversation with her, we have to say, okay, once a month after church, we're going to go to brunch.
Yeah.
Because we're doing things in the passing of family and kids. Yeah. So I'm more aware of what's happening in her life because we're in the same arena. However, I'm not necessarily going deep unless I plan it.
Right.
I literally...
Say it. Tell on yourself.
Because I'm me. I'm a little
OCD?
Special, touched.
She said it.
I did. Karis is convinced that I'm ADD. I'm like, no, I can focus. She said, no, you hyper focus. And that's a sign of ADD.
You don't know that?
Are you serious?
Breaking news.
You think I have ADD?
You are your father. How do you not know this? Lack of focus and hyper focus are on the same spectrum.
I mean, I know that, but I am not so hyper focused on like one thing. Like I do multiple things.
Yes, but you have a goal. Those things are all are converging towards something. You're not like doing 25 goals. You may have 25 ways to achieve a goal. You have a message you're trying to get out. You have connections you're trying to build. It's all for a reason, Chrystal. You're not like knitting and motorcycle
I just
driving.
Came out of the garden with fig leaves tied around my body. I feel naked and ashamed.
That's quality fig leaves.
Told. Oh my gosh,
ma'am!
I thought I was just like sharing something with you that I was considering, and you're like, I see you completely.
What?
I'm so serious. I'm so serious right now. Okay.
Wait.
Moving on. I'll recover from that.
Okay,
we'll talk about that at lunch.
I don't mean that negatively.
No, it doesn't matter. It just means that lifetime friendship. Something that I am considering the possibility for. You're like, where you been? It's like, what is happening?
Yes.
Okay, so moving on. I literally have a list.
You can't get past it.
That sounds very ADD and very spectrum-y. List.
And the more you talk, it's going to be confirming in your mind.
Yes,
You're like,
oh
my God, I am.
Okay. So
yes, because in one text, you can be like, how are you? Everything go okay with your mom? I sent you a text. Can you come on Wednesday, March 3rd? Also, we need lunch. That's what it will be just like that.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that because I know.
Some tissue. I need to,
we need a tissue.
Mainly because my eyeliner's gonna run. I can't.
By the way, your lashes look great.
Thank you, Heavenly, at a house of lash.
Oh, you're getting them done now?
No, I popped these on before I left the house.
They look great. I like that they're kind of thin. They look very natural. Exactly. But you have good lashes anyway. Those just add a little.
When I'm on, yeah,
they add a little boom to it.
Mm-hmm. Like Michelle would say, I need a little something so I don't look like a mole rat. That's what she says.
That's a good friend. That's a good.
No,
friend.
she says that about her. So I'm adopting. Like I don't want to look like a mole rat either.
Does anybody want to look like a mole rat?
Yeah.
Girl.
No. So I have a list. It's not. I haven't worked through it yet. Yes. But I do want to have. Thank you. Thank you. I do want to have on camera.
Podcast first. She's like, oh my gosh.
I do want to have. I do want to know that I'm showing up with intentionality. Mm-hmm. And what's happening is, like with everything else in life, the urgent eclipses the important.
Yep.
And so it's not that people aren't important to me. It's just that this is a fire. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And in my mind, this one person at church needs 2 hours of my time because they're trying to get a book written. And it's just this one-time thing. Mm-hmm. So I'm giving them that time. Yeah. But it's eclipsing the time, like all of these dots are eclipsing this bigger picture of friendship that I want to have. So I have a list and I literally am doing what you said. I am looking at my list and going, who is the person I'm going to accept that I'm going to talk to deeply once a year? And who is the person that I'm going to make sure that I am seeing them and spending time with them? I may not schedule it. It may just be like just a check-in. Like, Michelle, if I have not had a good time with her doing something, cooking in the kitchen, driving in her RV, going hiking somewhere, all the random things that come up, but I can look up and it can be 3 months and we have not done anything random. So it's just a running thing to say, did I check in? Did I call just to say, how you doing? Yeah. Like with no agenda. Did I do that? So, but it's more or less like lifetime friends, people that I want to stay connected to, where life availability and proximity does not give me that ease.
Yeah, it's more work.
It's more work. Work sounds like you don't want to do it. It's just more the effort. Level of intentionality. I have to. Yeah. It's not going to happen without my help. Yeah. And so my list is literally 1 year, 4 times a year, once a month, once a week.
So just rhythms.
Like my children are once a week. Right. Each one of my children needs to have time with me, husband, like weekly date night. Once a month is like, the 3 people. Like Chandria lives 5 minutes from my house. I have to be intentional about that. Yeah. And I'm like, how's it been 2 months and I haven't dropped by? She hadn't come. We live 5 minutes away from each other because proximity in terms of our life, the way we are living our life. Yeah. But I can see how, especially in this season, for me and for her, that lack of intentionality can leave a hole. Yeah, it can. It's funny. She and I were just talking about this. This is all our random group of friends, y'all. Not random, but our group of friends. And we were talking about this. And I was telling her how I have been challenged over the last couple of years to be a better friend, like what you were saying. And even with people, my long friends, like Talisha or, Chandria or Priscilla, whatever, just calling, just even a voice note. I was like, I got to set a realistic goal, okay? So I got Priscilla's birthday gift sitting next to my bed. When this airs, I hope she has it by then, my Lord. My plan was I'm going to take this to her house and we're going to get a visit in. Her birthday was December. I just want to say that. And so it's been sitting there. So today on my list is mail Priscilla's gift. Or you could give it to me. I will see her on Sunday. I know. I could. But it might bring a little special joy if it just comes in the mail. Yeah, I just want to mail it. I need to mail it to her. I need to do something. I'm like, good gracious. You don't beat me. Yeah. I've had a box for another family friend of ours, Rhoda Gonzalez. Oh. It was from 2023 Christmas. It's still wrapped in the trunk of my car.
Oh, to give to her. Oh, all right. Well, there's no judgment. I probably would have just unwrapped it and used it
and
by
we
now.
don't judge.
Our friends judge, y'all. We listen and we judge. But it's loving. It's loving. Yes. Yeah, I think
I'm working on it. And I'll tell you one other thing, because I do think our lives may be a little more complicated because the amount of deeper touch points that we have with a broader amount of people. You know, Jesus didn't minister to the thousands and then come back to the thousands.
Yeah.
He moved on to another group of thousands.
Did.
You are ministering regularly to groups of thousands of people that you do have a connection with. You have a deep conversation in the hallway after church, or, you know, you are, what is it, parasocial. There's this relationship where they're getting to know you at a deeper level because you're showing up every week in the same place. And I do think that adds a layer of complexity that large church present day is not necessarily addressed in the example that Jesus gave us. However, what I will say is, like, back to my list, to my ADD, like, there are women at church who want to talk to me about speaking and writing or motherhood or whatever. And then there are women who I will interview. There's a woman who's in Sweden who I interviewed, and then a woman and they're young moms. And I'm thinking, oh, great, I got you on my podcast. Look how many followers you have. And they're like, I'm so glad you asked, because I've been wanting to know. And they're looking at me like, you know, I can mentor them. Okay, I can't. I don't have space for that. But here's what I literally thought. So 4 times a year, it's not people, it's groups. I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to. I'm going to flip it on a Zoom call twice a year for the women who are at my church, because y'all don't just need to ask me stuff. Y'all all ask me the same question anyway. And y'all need to know each other.
Yeah.
And then twice a year, I'm going to flip on that Zoom call for my non-local people. I'm here. I want y'all to meet each other. I'm availing myself. Because when I show up in the world, if I'm going to charge somebody for coaching, or charge somebody to speak, or charge somebody to take a course. And I've got women in my church who need this information, and they're in ministry, they're in seminary, they can't afford that. I want to make sure I am constantly ministering inside and outside. And literally that's the way I'm going to do it, because there is a parasocial relationship that I have with these women, and I can't sit down for all of them for coffee.
Yeah.
So I do think we can be creative and using technology to show up in ways so we can maximize the time we have for friends, while also making ourselves available in a reasonable way for parasocial friends.
Yeah. And you know what? I know a lot of people who are listening and watching that might not align with your life, but I will say this about the technology piece. In general, being creative about how you connect.
Correct.
Because I remember during COVID, and everybody was getting creative during COVID. And I remember being on Zoom calls with my close friends, who are still my close friends today. And we had a great old time. On that Zoom call.
Just left the Zoom on. I'll be back. I'm on the side of the room. I'm get over here.
Like, boy, go to bed.
Right.
Hold on, y'all. Right. And everybody is having a great time. Some had their beverages, and we had a little movie night. And I
like how you said the word beverages.
Beverage. Whatever you call a beverage. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there's liberty. However, the funny thing is, now that we can obviously move about freely, it didn't even cross my mind anymore. And I'm like, that was a viable connection.
It was creative.
It did not feel,
we have to be creative.
Less than anything else.
No.
And so when I'm thinking intentionality, there's some things where, here's the thing about it. This is not just to feel good. God calls us to be in community.
That's right.
He calls us to be in community. You have to decide what levels and what layers and all that stuff. Every community you're in, every relationship is not going to be the same. But you have to be asking God, okay, what do I do with this? Do we just need to have this one conversation, Lord, and I'm never going to see this person again? That's fine. Because sometimes we're trying to maintain stuff, and he's like, that was a one time. And then there's other times where he's like, no, I want this person in your space. And if you're not asking God, what do I do with this? You'll just go crazy. You just said that. I was like, I'm going to be on a Zoom call with my friends. And they're going to be like, why? Because we live in the same city and I haven't seen you in 3 months.
I mean, like that. And a lot of times I think intentionality doesn't have to look like two-way. It can, I was just talking to Priscilla about this yesterday. I went and saw this historical movie at the Angelica, and it reminded me of my mother because she would do that. You know, just the movies that are just, they tell a story, but they don't, you know. But she would text us and she would say, I'm heading to the movies at 3 if anyone wants to come. So it wasn't this work it out. Can we get it on the schedule?
I did that yesterday.
It was just like, this is what I'm going to do.
Or 2 days ago. Yeah.
Would you like to come? Because it still says, I want to spend time with you but it removes the struggle of schedule and can you do it? And it's grace. If you can't do it, that's fine. I'm doing it anyway. Who wants to come?
Yeah.
So that's even another creative way. It's like, do your life and invite people to do life with you.
Yeah. I sent a text to our friends the other day. I was like, I'm going to see this artist on this day.
You did? Did you already buy your ticket?
Bought the tickets.
I'm contemplating.
It's a 24-hour window. I don't have time for can I and what time?
But that was great.
I was. And
That's
I got
great.
2 replies.
And
they were
it
like, oh, I wanna
produces
go.
a
and
response.
they sent a side text. You can. I want to go. Cool. What's your budget? Because
that's all. I we'll take care of that today. I need to know exactly where you're sitting.
Okay. I just bought my tickets yesterday. It's going to sell out. I can't tell y'all where. Cause
it was one of those, do I want to come
there.
with a friend? Do I want to come with this is me being intentional.
Do
I want to come with my husband?
Because I was ready
Do
to
I
go
want to
by
come with a
myself.
friend? Or am I going by myself?
I was ready to go by myself. You know what? As you get older,
listen.
How much do you love yourself?
A lot.
One of my favorite answers in life is when I walk into a restaurant and I say, just one.
And they look at you like, something wrong with you.
Just one.
They do.
And you know
They're
what?
like, oh,
and
okay.
I want a booth.
Listen.
I don't put me at that high top.
No.
I don't want to sit at the bar. I want a whole booth because I got my iPad.
That's correct.
I got my book.
That's
I want my
right.
space. I want the same space you're giving them for.
And I'm going to still be working on my appetizer when you bring me my entree, and I need room for all of that.
All of it. And I might order my dessert first. Just do what I ask.
Listen, a lot. Mainly because
it's
not because I do love my own company, but it is more so because the removal of other people in the space allows me to be free. I'm not worried about you. I'm not worried about how long you got. I'm not worried about, are we sitting where you want to sit? And I think as women, we are just natural considerers.
Yes.
Caretakers.
Consider.
And when you spend your life managing people, managing children, being a great wife, it's great to go into a space and only think about what do I want. And sometimes for me, it's only being in the space by myself that I actually clearly know what I want without any consideration.
Right. You think. A lot of times I'll bring one device because I may be watching something. I literally go into a restaurant, earpods, I'll be watching something, then I'll be writing, just all the things, however I want my setup. And I think about my life. I'm like, what am I trying to do this week, this month, whatever. It's just great. And I remember being a kid, always wanting somebody to spend the night or go somewhere with somebody. And I'm like, man, what... I could have had some great alone time, but I do think it comes with age. And a lot of times with women, the more you serve, not church, I'm talking about as a friend, taking care of your parents, a wife, auntie, a daughter, whatever. We're just always accommodating people. And so, that table for one situation
is amazing.
Movies for one. I talked to my friend. She went out of the country. Like, that's when you like, I'm going out of the country by
50th
myself.
birthday. I went to Hawaii by myself for 7 days.
You sure did.
And then I liked it. So I did it again at 51.
It was great.
And then I realized, I think, every year, I'm
going to
go.
By myself,
I've done Hawaii 3 years in a row. I'm deciding what I'm doing this year. But it needs to be, it also helps if I'm in a different time zone so that I am forced to be disconnected.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it doesn't have to be obviously that. You don't have to go to 7 days and, but I just think I realized 8 years ago in writing She's Still There, I would go on these little mini retreats where I'd go to a coffee shop on a Friday night and then I'd get there again on Saturday morning at 5 a.m. and stay until about 2. But Friday night was about being by myself. It took me a minute
just to
take things off. I check email, read a little bit of this chapter, maybe meet a friend, drink. But I was clean and open and available at 5 a.m. the next morning.
So Saturday,
I needed a minute to just, and I realized, oh my gosh, like every time I go away, I have to take off all the expectations and all the stuff that people want from me, so I actually can sit with me.
It takes time.
It takes time
to take other people off of you,
right? Which is why. Have you been yet on a trip, a lunch, a half day, driving to Austin, anything, with a friend who's like being by yourself?
Yes.
That's the next level, John. That's the next level.
Listen, me and Talisha were talking about this when we would take road trips, and this is my friend. She
From
really is
before,
my longest
before.
friend. Right. We met at 6 years old in second grade, and she's still my friend today. We were, one of the many road trips we had taken to wherever, we might have been going to Houston, and I don't think we talked until we were 2 hours in, and she was like, "Are you hungry?" I was like, "Yes." And that was it. She picked the place, and I was like, "Okay."
That's next level.
And like if you say, "I want to go out of town by myself," there's a short list of friends that could go with you, and you still
And
feel
it's
like
still-
you're by yourself. That's a good friend.
It is.
I'm not trying to sync up. Maybe I might see you
Maybe
when I
like
go
one
eat
dinner.
a dinner.
You got
Maybe.
your room, I got
and
my
listen, don't
room,
bank
no
on it. Because
expectations.
while you getting dressed, I might change my mind.
That's
and it's okay
correct.
because I'm
And
still
it's-
technically by myself.
Listen.
That's a good friend that you just like, we don't have to engage. As a matter of fact, just recently, me and Priscilla and Nicole, we did our little birthday thing. And I was like, this is how I know we're long friends and we're getting old. This is what we did. We were together from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m.
This is how it
But
goes.
this is what we did. We talked to each other at lunch for
That's
like
right.
2 hours. And the rest of the day, it was just proximity. We did a spa day. It's 5 minutes in the waiting room waiting on your next service. How was yours? It was good, girl. Okay, then I'll see you. Gone for an hour. Then guess what we did? Went to a movie. Shoulder to shoulder to shoulder. And every few minutes somebody would be like, ooh, like, that was it.
That was great.
It was like,
That's
I feel
great.
so recharged. I was
Yes.
like, that's all I needed. I
But
need a
you
little bit of
can't-
FaceTime.
You can't communicate to someone what you need from them if you don't know what you need.
Absolutely.
You can't expect, and that's to me,
Absolutely.
marriage, friendship, life. Until you take the time and live long enough, because some of it just comes with time, to know what it is that you even need. You
yeah.
can't be mad at somebody that they don't know.
Absolutely. And you know what happens? I think for women, and I think men tend to be more consistent in who they are from day one. Because they're not even wired to be wearing 52 hats. I can't be this way at work. And
Or nurtured to be.
They just like, this is me. Who I am is who I am. Women, it's a gift and a curse. So we have the ability to accommodate and be this person at
malleable.
work and be this person with our friend. And what happens is the older you get, all of a sudden you start realizing.
The hormones drop.
Well,
Seriously.
and just your general, you have more self-approval. And so you're like, I'm not doing that anymore.
But like
I
you
only
realize
was
that
doing
like it's scientifically proven that a
I
part of
believe
your
it.
nurturing is tied to that estrogen, and when it drops, you
You're like,
literally
you on your own.
don't have the hormonal support
to cook dinner.
to care.
Tell me, I'm hungry. Great. Resolve it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
it changes.
it
and
literally
listen,
changes.
women, I'm telling you, the people in your life, they're going to be surprised. You
Can you like-
need to know this about yourself because sometimes we don't even realize we're going through that change. I'm not talking about even the late menopause change. I'm just talking about
Life.
30s, 40s. The older you
I
get, and
have
you're just like,
served
I don't
y'all's
like that.
tales for decades.
I'm off. Till when?
I am
Heaven.
off.
I'm
And
off till
literally,
heaven.
that is what I communicate. I literally say on Sundays, I made dinner after church. I'm not making a second dinner. There are leftovers in the fridge. There is cereal. There are sandwiches. This is my Sabbath.
There's fasting.
At 8 o'clock, once we've eaten dinner and the kitchen is clean, the kitchen is closed.
Closed. When you see that towel over that sink, don't come up in here.
Folded.
There are signs,
Folded.
okay? It's folded. That oven light is on. And the main light is off. It's closed. Closed for business, okay? I need a sign where I can be like, get out of
Correct.
here and get out of my pantry.
But I think it's healthy, and I do. Again, it's like comparing your friend. Like when I was saying earlier, have I been the kind of friend to get the response from my friends that I want? I'm asking that same question about me saying the kitchen is closed and about me saying I'm off.
Yeah.
Because there is a generation of women who did not do that. And they
Right.
served consistently
Yeah.
into their 80s. They just you go to Big Mama's house or whatever you call
She's
her.
still cooking.
She's still cooking and all that kind of stuff. And I'm asking myself the same question. Okay, I have the ability and the right to shut things down, and I want to live with balance. But am I leaving a legacy with my right to say, shut the door? Am I leaving a legacy that I want to leave, or do I need to leave it cracked sometimes? So like,
Yeah.
for example, I want to be a great grandmother to my grandchildren, but I still even struggle to say that out loud. My oldest grandchild is 9.
You have grandchildren.
Yes, 5 of them. But But I know that the reason why I'm close, I mean, both my grandmothers were great, but I had a very close relationship with my dad's mother.
Yeah.
When I was born, she was 40. I had to do the math. When I was born, she was 40. So the kind of relationship that I had with her and how we were running the streets and the conversations we were having, I only saw her once a year.
Yeah.
But she was available to
Yeah.
me. So I'm thinking, okay, my grandkids don't need to come over every Wednesday night or every weekend. However, I did say once a month, one of my grandkids will come over and it's just them. My husband can't handle all of them.
Yeah.
But because I want to be intentional.
Yeah.
And I think I literally.
In the individual relationships.
Yeah, I literally am thinking when my obituary is written, which I've been told, Michael Hyatt actually says it's a great exercise. Write your own obituary, rewrite it every year, and then make sure that what you want people to say about you is actually the way you're living.
Ooh.
Backwards engineer it. Will they say this? Because is that what you're doing?
Yeah.
And so that is I want to be the friend that, yes, showed up, but more importantly, that you knew if you talked to me, that your secrets were safe with me, that you knew I was going to ask you hard questions to help you uncover some truths about yourself that maybe you didn't know.
Yeah.
And that if I made you cry, it was only because you needed to.
Oh, she loved making a tear come down your face. Lord have mercy.
But mostly with the people who don't want to enjoy it.
I know.
Like
but do you know, I cry often now.
Now, yes.
I do. And that's really been the Lord. It's been very freeing. No, I think that's good. Thinking about, in scripture, they call it the last mention. Like, what's the last time this person's name was mentioned? We were just talking about this in a message I shared this weekend, going through Hebrews 11. Hebrews 11 is not the starting point. Go back and see what their life was.
Right.
And you'll find that even though their lives had ups and downs, failures and mistakes, this was their last mention by faith. This is who they were. And so I think I would encourage anybody out there, whatever age you are, start thinking about that now. I don't think you need to think about that at 40 and 50. You can start at 30 and
That's
20
correct.
and say, what do I want the end of my life to look like reflectively? Like the people, what do I want said about me? And that's heavy because it should affect the way you engage with them today. And maybe you need to apologize for something. Maybe you need to be more intentional about something. But
And if 80 is too big and you're in your 20s, I feel like you can do that. By the time I'm 30, because we do that with goals.
Yeah.
And we don't even realize we're doing that. We just know that if we don't do this by 30, we're going to feel like we wasted our 20s. Like we think, like, if I'm not married by 30, I'm not. Okay, but do that about what you'll say about your 20s.
Absolutely.
When I get to be 30, what do I want the people in my life that have lived my 20s with me? What do I want the taste to be on their lips of their experience of me?
Right.
And then live that out.
Yeah. Do that about stuff you can control.
Because there's a whole lot you can't.
You cannot. You can't control if a good godly man gonna come your way. And don't try to make them graduate ones godly. Just keep it moving.
Listen.
Okay. Chrystal, it's been 17 hours already.
I know.
Okay, so tell me real quick the 1 million things you have going on in your life so people can know where to find you on the moon and Jupiter. And
Well,
wherever you
currently
are.
right now I'm on a podcast break, which is enjoyable and also killing me. I don't
you like-
do breaks.
Yeah.
Like this whole season of
because
the
it's-
podcast business is
you
like,
think
why?
it's because maybe there's ADD. I'm just here to affirm. It's a covenantal friendship.
But however, I am always most frequently active in my membership. So these are the women who get the weekly 2-hour version. It's an hour of fun and foolery, laughing at memes, telling jokes, giving the backside, pictures of the family. I mean, just morning radio show. And then it is usually 30 to 40 minutes of teaching. And then another 15 minutes of wrap up in the chat, people crying, ministering to each other, whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm doing that. And then on my podcast, which is where most people will find me on YouTube and all the places podcasts are, I share the best and the edited versions.
Right.
The things that my husband don't want just out in the wild.
Right. He like, that's
He's
house
like,
business.
His thing is you talking to women, but they in their car with their husbands, or they have airplayed you to the TVs in their
on
houses,
speaker.
and
Right.
you are talking like you at a slumber party.
All our business. Right. I just want to say, and I know, and I've told you this before, but I just want to say it for the record. For the culture. No, I'm kidding. For the record. I really am proud of you. I think it's very cool to have friends that you love their life beyond what they do for you. Like, I love what God is doing in your life. It has been cool.
Jada.
I can't say I'm surprised. You've always been what about this? Let's try this.
You're not?
No, because even I joke about choir.
In this space.
In general,
Podcasting,
Chrystal.
speaking, writing. You're not surprised at that space? Because I am.
I don't think about the vehicles. I'm not
You're just
surprised
saying
that
how I
you're
show up.
driven and you're like, I'm going to figure
Understood.
out how to get it done.
Understood.
Because I just think you've always been that way. And so sometimes I'm looking like, is that the girl that was working at Fidelity? Like, it just doesn't even, there's these seasons where you're like, that's not all that this person has to offer. And so anyway, I love it. And I love that you have built just so much with your grit and your hustle and your hard work. And I think it's just bearing fruit. It's bearing fruit. And so I see it. I hear people say, oh my gosh, have you read this book? Or I listen to Chrystal, or I'm in the sister circle. I mean, it's great. It's great. And so I love it. And I love that I know you, but I love watching that unfold in your life.
Yeah.
I just feel like we used to joke and be like, Crystal's like the Christian Oprah, you know. But don't add me about Oprah. Just, it was an example.
Just take the
it was
meat,
just an
throw out the
example.
bones, and move on. Yeah.
Right. But I just love watching you be, I feel like, what feels like a sweet spot of just being able, you're a connector, connecting people, teaching. And so I love it.
Yeah.
And I pray for you, and I'm just excited to see what God is doing in your life. And I'm glad you dropped by.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me. Girl, listen, I will tell you this one last thing, if I might.
You might.
Girl, so this is how you can pray for me.
Oh,
okay, for real. It's just a little dovetail. So do you know I've had a book due since 2019?
Oh,
due since
since
2019.
COVID? Girl, Jesus.
And I have put out other books to avoid that one.
Oh.
Like other little easier things. Like I
Yeah.
just put out a book a couple weeks ago. 100 Days of Discovering the Gift of You. Because you got to discover you if you're going to be a good friend. But side mention. Thank you very much for that. Yes, but here's the thing. It is about shame.
Oh.
Which is
Just light work.
First, my mom
A little
died.
quick
That
little
was
something.
real. Then
Yeah.
COVID. I had excuses for 3 years. For the last 18 months, I ain't had an excuse.
Right.
But I will say this. We were talking about community, and I will say that there is a level of vulnerability that you have to be willing to have, yes, with yourself, yes, with the Lord, and yes, with somebody who's going to see all of you and not turn away. And if you are thinking, I don't
That's
have the
scary.
kind of
Yeah.
friends, like what, like we're talking about friendships and the 2s and the 3s and the 8s and the 12s. But if you don't have that and you're wondering why you don't, I would say, what are you trying to hide? And ask yourself that question, and then look around and ask God, okay, because I know I can't have the level of friendship that I desire if I'm not willing to show up and be just a little naked. You got to ask yourself that question, because if you are not willing to deal with whatever shame or whatever you're trying to hide, wherever you don't want to be vulnerable, you will never have the kind of community that makes the difference in your life. Because you can't have it if you're not willing to show up completely unashamed somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere. That's good. That's a good old word right there. So I hope that resonates with someone, and I know it will, because I get a lot of questions, especially from women, young women. How do I make friends? And especially,
that's a big thing.
It comes up in different ages. Our current generation struggles because most of our connections are not real. They're digital, and we see and follow, but we're not really connecting. Older ladies struggle because they're like, I don't even know how to welcome new friends in my life. This is how I've been living my life. And so we struggle for all different reasons, but take that. Ask the Lord, is there a fear or an excuse for vulnerability? Because you might be trying to find something that you're not offering. And and that's the work that has to be done. So
Correct. Absolutely.
yes,
was
always a
great.
good word. Thank you, Chrystal.
Thanks for having me.
Now we're going to
and
go
congratulations
really, really talk.
on your, is this coming out before your book is out or after?
It's going to come out before.
Great. Well,
So it'll be
congratulations
coming
on
out
your
around Easter.
impending book.
Yes.
Y'all buy the book ahead of time. Like for real.
Oh,
Can
yeah,
I
we're
just
doing
sing your
pre-sales.
praises? Because you need to tell the publishers, we want more from this author. If you don't vote with your pre-order purchase, you are
A whole endorsement.
you are telling the publishers,
Yeah.
So if you are thinking you're going to buy it, go pre-order it. Okay? Because it's not only good for you. You'll get it the day it comes out. But also, you're telling the publisher and you're telling Amazon, print enough books. You know, that's why they run out of books. It's because they guess wrong.
Yeah.
So make sure there are enough books.
Yeah.
Jada,
That's a good old friend right there.
Edwards. What's the name of the book again?
A New Way to Love Your Neighbor.
Okay. Available anywhere books are sold. Y'all got to support. You know what I'm saying? It's kingdom business.
I love you.
I love you too.
That's it. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, make sure leave a comment, leave a review, share, subscribe, all the things, and we'll catch you next time.